my senior year, University of Texas. And the radio, television, and film department brings Edward Dmytryk as a visiting professor. Edward Dmytryk is Academy Award nominated director who's done classic Hollywood films like The Caine Mutiny, The Young Lions, worked with amazing actors like Elizabeth Taylor, Marlon Brando, Humphrey Bogart, Clark Gable. And he also became infamous for being one of the Hollywood top 10, the ones that would not cooperate with the Un-American Activities Committee, right? Was that the name of that? And he also was one of the 100 little geniuses. That is what the scientists who created the IQ test to measure a bona fide genius called him when he handpicked him in the 30s as exactly that. And he followed him, and along with 99 other geniuses throughout their lifetimes, to see what does a genius do with their lives, for better or worse. So I am 21 when I meet Mr. Edward Dmytryk, and he is 72 years old. And it is quite a privilege. He's quite a formidable character. And the way that we meet is that he's finishing his tenure at the University of Texas, and he realizes, you know, I've been here 3-4 years, and I haven't worked with actors. Where are the actors? Because in radio and television and film, that department, it trains film directors, editors, film producers. But where are the actors? And well, they said, well, you know, because they beg, steal, and borrow actors to do their film productions, but he was wondering, why aren't you training them? And they go, well, if you want actors, you got to go to the drama department. That's where they are, and that's, of course, where I was. And he goes, well, that's where I'm going. And so he went, and so the acting faculty invited all the junior and senior actors to meet Edward Dmytryk, but they said, okay, Mr. Dmytryk, what do you want the actors to do for you during the audition? And he looked at them like, I don't audition actors. I have never auditioned actors. I will never audition actors. And of course the acting faculty, because you know they've been training us how to audition, it's like, well, what do you want to do with these actors? And he said, I just want to have a conversation. I can tell when I have a conversation with an actor if they are a good actor. 2, I can tell whether I like them and whether I want to spend any amount of time with them. 3, as a film director, I can tell when I meet an actor whether the camera is going to like them. So I get the privilege of being one of the 8 actors that he chooses. And I'm very impressed because for not having seen us do a thing, he has managed to pick 8 actors that get cast all the time in leads and supporting leads. And it's a big department. You know, University of Texas is huge. And that's very impressive. And not only did he pick, like, what I thought were, in my opinion, the awesome actors, he actually picked one that goes on to win an Academy Award. And is probably going to be the only one at the University of Texas to ever do that, maybe in our lifetime or many lifetimes, and that's my friend Marcia Gay Harden. So he was doing damn good, right? Well, it's an extraordinary class because, like a genius, he's way ahead of his time. You can find now acting classes for actors in the radio and television film department. You can find them in private studios. But in 1980, nobody's doing them. So anyway, it's an extraordinary class. And the best part was that he would bring his buddies from Hollywood into the class. So one day we walk in, and who's sitting there? George Cukor. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Philadelphia Story, Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy. A Star is Born with Judy Garland. And he's sitting there watching us, get in front of that camera for Mr. George Cukor. And he's about 80 years old at that point, but he looks like 62. And so he watches us, and then afterwards he comes up to me and he puts his hands on my face. And he goes, you, young lady, have an extraordinary, intelligent face. I thought, You know, think about it, folks. In Hollywood, if you have an intelligent face, if it gets old, you're not going to lose face, right? You're going to probably keep something about that. And so I'm feeling pretty good to have George Cukor say that to me. And I'm about to graduate, so I'm very confident. And then the next year, I'm in New York, like actors do, or the great artists. They all have to show up to New York City at some point. And my young husband, who's one of the 8 actors as well, has been cast as a lead in a off-Broadway play. So we're there for a year. And so I'm feeling, you know, I've got my intelligent face. I can do what these young actors need to do in New York. And so Marsha Gay Harden comes and visits us. She stays with us. She's a year younger, but she's got her feelers out too. And we're doing what you do. You go and you meet people, and you try to find the agent, and you try to find the manager. And she ends up, you know, scoring really big pretty quickly because she gets, you know, some really cool auditions for The Girl Next Door, and the young lead, the young student, the daughter of the whatever. And then I go, and we have almost identical resumes, because we were always competing for the same parts, basically. And I don't get the same response. I'm thinking, what? I mean, got the intelligent face. And they're very diplomatically, you know, are looking at the resume, and it says, Amparo Garcia. And they're like, you're not going to work, my dear. What do you mean I'm not going to work? And they're very diplomatically letting me know that I'm not going to work if I want to work in commercial film and television, because you're going to get called in for the day player parts. What? What does that mean? Why? They said, you're too exotic. That was what they said. It sounds pretty good, right? Intelligent, exotic. I like it. Well, no, not in the television film world. What that means is that you're going to go out for maid, housekeeper number 1, and prostitute number 2. Which, I'm sorry, Charla, but in the damn film business, it's not, you know, I mean, yes, I had a callback to be the whore with Tom Cruise at one point. It would require, you know, topless things, and it was Oliver Stone, and you go, well, you know, I had just had a baby and had like real breasts, so I thought maybe I should publish them, you know? But the irony of that audition was, the feedback after the callback was, she has an Anglo nose. What? All right, it got very frustrating. I didn't want to believe that that was true. But unless you are that, are there any that's here? Like I'm talking a person of color, a minority, a person outside the box. It is like this. You probably don't notice, you know? But I can tell you from having been in the business a long time that they were telling me the truth. Very heartbreaking, very disappointing. Won't go into the million degrading stories of that situation, but I'm taking you to the turnaround. The turnaround is, I thought maybe the reason is because they don't have writers writing the material for the people out of the box. So I have to write. I'll write my own stuff, I'll do my own stuff, that's what I'll do. So that was probably one of the best things that could have happened to me. Because had I been the happy little camper as an actress, would have never discovered that I'm a writer. And it's being a writer that brought me back to Austin, Texas. I came here as a James Michener Fellow. And I was one of the first in the graduating class for what was then called the Texas Center for Writers, and now it's just called the Michener Center for Writers, and had James Michener himself as a mentor. So that was pretty extraordinary. Hard to complain about that, right? I get ready to graduate, and I get offered a tenure track position as a professor at the University of Texas. That's pretty unusual. They don't like to hire their own. And there wasn't even a posting for the position. It was offered to me. Remember my intelligent face? So I take it, of course, I'm a single mom, and I'm excited about, you know, what I can teach as an interdisciplinary artist. And one of the things when you're a full-time faculty member is that you're given the senior topics course. You have to do that rotated every 2-3 years, whatever. That course has every kind of person in it. We're talking designers, directors, educators, actors, every kind of animal. They're all trying to graduate. They have to take that class. And I'm taking it very seriously because I'm remembering what I just told you, what it feels like to be a graduating senior and your parents, mine didn't ever pay for my education. I'm happy to say I got a full scholarship. But people have paid for them to have what is worthless degree, basically. You know, worthless in the sense that if you don't figure out how to make it work for yourself, your parents are really pissed off at you about now. You're getting ready to graduate and you're not going to know what to do with your 4 years of school. So I felt a real responsibility. Plus I would look around the class and I would see the young, gay, black artist, which is hard enough to be black, but gay. I happen to have a small person in my class that semester, half Korean, half white. Hard enough to work, period, and he's mixed, and he's a small person. So I create a class called Theatrical Stereotypes, and I want to empower who they are. It'd be like asking each one of you, how are you not in the box, okay? What is it about you? Educate me about being a small person. And we had some extraordinary experiences together. This is when 9/11 happened. So it was an amazing experience to be able to talk about, look at how they're going to treat the Middle Eastern characters and how horrible those stereotypes are going to be. I mean, I wanted these artists to go out there and change the situation that I had just struggled against. So because we've been talking about declaring independence, I thought this would be a nice way as I start to steer towards the conclusion of this story. I would start the class by saying, I'm going to read to you some words of a very famous American political leader. And I'm not going to tell you who it is, and I'm not going to tell you who he's talking about, and I want you to tell me this, okay? So I want you to pretend that you're in the senior topics course, and you're going to tell me what the answer is, okay? So I'm going to get over here to read it off this thing. Those who come here are generally of the most ignorant, stupid sort of their own nation. And as few of them understand English, and so we can't address them either from the press or the pulpit. It's impossible to remove any prejudices they once entertained. Not being used to liberty, they know not how to make a modest use of it. I remember when they modestly declined intermeddling in our elections, but now they come in droves, and they carry all before them except in 1 or 2 counties. And in short, unless the stream of their importation could be turned from this to other colonies. Dead giveaway. I wouldn't say colonies in the class, I'd say counties. As you very judiciously propose, they will soon outnumber us, and that all the advantages we have will not, in my opinion, be able to preserve our language, and even our government will become precarious. Well, you had the advantage because I said colonies. Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin freaking Franklin said that, right? This is also an enlightened animal that I love to quote one of my favorite quotes of Benjamin Franklin is, we're either gonna hang together or we're gonna hang separately, right? And he's the one that sat up late at night with all those other enlightened forefathers, all 4 of them. And they wrote the beautiful, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So, do we all say one thing and do another? Or do we say what we hope can become the truth and reality? So I've been there about 4 years at the University of Texas, and I'm having a midlife crisis of huge proportion because I have had my second child in my early 40s, and so I'm going into a postpartum depression meets perimenopause, and yeah, not a pleasant experience, just hitting the wall. And the marriage is ending, and the artist has been starving because, I've done well as a professor. In fact, I just heard, as I'm having this crisis, that I have received a Teaching Excellence Award from the College of Fine Arts. And they want to present it at the graduation ceremony, which, if any of you have been to the UT graduation ceremonies, you know how huge they are. Fine Arts College, art, music, theater, has to fill up the whole Performing Arts Center. That's where this is going to happen, and that's where that award wants to be given. And I don't want to go. No, I can't see doing it. Not rational at all. And I am so depressed that my young son notices that I'm hitting a wall, and he's like, Mom, what? And then what happens is that the speaker of that commencement exercise is announced. And it's my friend Marcia Gay Harden. She's just gotten the Academy Award for Pollock as the Best Supporting Actress. I'm going, so now I'm really not going because I can't even pretend and act like I'm happy right now. It's not that I don't love her, it's not that she doesn't deserve it, it's not that I didn't want her to have it. She's smart enough to look at me and go, oh, you're fucked up. Because I really was not feeling great. I mean, it was horrible, that kind of chemical crash. And so my son's looking at me and going, you have to go get this award. You have to receive this award, Mom. And then he says the amazing thing. The thing that's going to what did he say? Release the slave, let the slave out. He says, Mom, don't you know that she is you? Yeah. What people go to India for, right? What people go for the real liberation in India. My little son, 16 years old, is looking at me quite sincerely and saying it in such a way that it felt like Zeus's thunder came through the ceiling and went right through my heart. It literally woke me in that moment like, yeah, don't I know that she is me? Isn't that what we all want to experience, that cosmic forefather vision that we are one, that we are one thing? And it woke me like a smelling salt. It took me out of my depression because in his mouth was the guru of gurus. So I show up. It's a great experience. Marcia and I have a great reunion. I haven't seen her family in a long time. We visit, we introduce our kids to each other. And here's the coolest part. She has Oscar with her. Because the College of Fine Arts wants to take full advantage of the situation because, let's face it, she may be the only graduating alumni ever to receive the Oscar as an actress. So they asked her to bring it for the photo op, right? And so I couldn't find the picture that we got to take, but we both got to stand, together holding that Oscar. Which is really freaking heavy, I'll tell you that right now. But we're both holding the Oscar, and I am holding that state of mind because it's the one you do a lot of drugs to get to, some of you, right? Or you mantra all day long, or you have homage, touch your head, and I was in that place, and you can see it in the picture. We are holding Oscar. And it's my Oscar. And then I very much in my mind say, I want to thank the Academy.